There are so many talented and skillful female athletes in the world, showcasing what they can do and being internationally recognised and praised for it. But why is it when the sport is rugby, female athletes aren't given the attention and respect that they deserve?
In this short film, we will discuss women's rugby and the countless barriers women face in order to play a sport dominated by men. The poisonous pedagogy we will be focusing on is sexism in rugby. In our first article, we look at Women's Rugby Union in Australia. Alison Carl and John Norwright from the Department of Human Movement Studies in the University of Queensland, Australia, identify women facing three main barriers in the sport of rugby. The article states that they face strong societal opposition based on historical, social and physical perceptions about the relationship of women to contact sports. Carla Norwright, 1999.
Social pressures are a huge barrier for women playing rugby, as it may not be the social normality for a girl to play rugby. Stereotyping plays a huge role in oppression towards women's rugby. Women who play rugby have been categorised as butch, lesbian, manly, unattractive or dirty, rather than focusing on the skill and competitiveness of the women's game. The social pressures for women who play rugby are a huge factor in the oppression and sexism involved in rugby.
Historically, it was not seen as appropriate for women to engage in contact sport. For most of the century, and still for most women today, their roles in rugby have been in the servicing of men through the washing of rugby clothing, supplying food at rugby club rooms, and taking sons and partners to matches. Women was to be purely in supportive roles.
Physical pressures include female athletes taking control of their own bodies and shaping them to play a contact sport, such as rugby. Female athletes use the physicality and emotionality of their game to find self-identity, the same as men. Carla Norwright, 1999. It contributes to the self-definition and belonging. Society creates certain pressures around the physical appearance of women, and rugby-playing women may not fit society's mould of what a woman should look like.
In our second article by Emily Robbins, we look at sexism in rugby and why it has to stop, with the main question being, why do you consider me less of a woman because I play rugby? There is sexism surrounding the social oppression of women's rugby, referring to the sexual orientation of some women who play rugby. And why is this seen as a bad thing? This is giving bad connotations to being a lesbian by saying that rugby is not what women do. Sports gear for rugby is almost all directed at male athlete bodies. Females find it difficult to find appropriate gear with brands such as Skins always having the male fit around the genitals. Advertising in women's rugby uses the female's body in a completely feminine way, rather than looking at women who play rugby as athletes. This shows the sexism in rugby advertising, as women are not taken seriously when portrayed as rugby players. This is taking a backward step in equality between men and women in world rugby.
Change needs to start at school level, with girls' rugby teams getting more attention, sponsorship and recognition. Boys vs 15 games are televised, but why not girls' games? We need to look at how to get more girls involved in the rugby game from a younger age.
In terms of culture surrounding rugby, there needs to be a change in the way society views rugby players. Society needs to see rugby players for the athletes they are, and not for what gender or sexual orientation they are. Society as a whole needs to be encouraging towards females who decide to play rugby, as it is their choice, their body, and their life.